I'm back. It's August 22nd. This will be my last, probably my last trip out here this year. And I get everything done, I can actually bring people to do other projects, but the cabin will be done. And other than the help that Gail gave me when she comes up for her annual trip, I'm happy to say I kind of did it the way, I didn't kind of, I did it the way I wanted to do it. And, sorry, I'm happy about that. It's getting harder for me to do things. For those of you who don't follow me, I'm on chemo and I just finished radiation for stage 4 cancer, so it's getting harder for me to do stuff. Today it took 2 hours for me to get all the different things I needed to be organized after I already got here, just to be able to do the work I'm going to do today. Normally that'd be about 20 minutes, maybe. So I am happy, I'm here. It's not raining, I'm trying to beat the rain. Had a rough day yesterday with everything, from losing things, to getting rained on, to loading, to unloading. I overestimated my strength. So anyway, enough of that. Real happy Gail and I got the project done we wanted to do together, which was lay the floor down. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make this type of a situation for where the logs meet the floor. In other words, it'll be a smooth transition on the floor. That means I got to put some smaller trim boards in, as close as I can, then foam it, then shape it with a little cutting tool I came up with at the end of my project. Always come up with the best tools when you're done. And then sand that and cement it. So there'll be no corners in there to catch the dirt. It'll be easier to clean. And it'll match everything else that I did. I went with the no corners anywhere concept. And it's worked out so far. So that's August 22nd, 2023. Everything I need supposedly is here now. It just took 2 days getting it all set up and in and where I want it. So that's the deal. And hopefully next year I can bring some other people out and give me a hand. I don't want to be morbid, but we're not guaranteed next year's. So that's what's up. Couldn't be happier. I'm ready to start doing what I need to do. I haven't been able to do. I did get over to Harry's Harbor, on the other side of the island. Fired up the pontoon. I might have mentioned that when I was filming with Gail, but I got to do that, re-winterize it, make sure everything runs right, covers better, some new straps, some new bungees, so I'm happy about that till next year. But I didn't get to check the trails yet. Those are long, and my hiking capabilities with a problem I've got on this leg and a little on this one, when I get back home, I'm going to Northwestern in Chicago and see, what the chemo's done to cause my legs acting like this and swelling up. I got to get that figured out. It's hard to be up here and not be able to hike. It defeats the purpose and makes it hard to take care of things. So I'm really glad I got all the big heavy things done when I did, because right now I wouldn't be able to do them. So So that's all positive. And that's all I got to say on that. My timing on this part of the project was really good. So now I'm inside, and that's a lot, I consider it a lot easier work. I miscalculated on that little video earlier that it was going to take the 2 hours I spent setting up. It's now 3 hours after those 2 hours. So 5 hours later, I took my solar lights, I have 4 of them. The little panels are outside. I drilled a hole through and put the lead into here. I can disconnect them and they'll run as long as the battery has a charge from what it does normally every day. So I've turned them into lights. I can focus on the area I'm working on and then plug this one back in, go down there, disconnect that one, shine it on the floor. So I'm happy about that working. And I just forgot all the different things it takes to do the foam, the cement, the cleaning, the shaping. I think I've got every single thing I need. And the big rush on this is because it's going to rain for 3 days. So if I don't have everything in here that I need, it's going to be miserable. Running back to the shed in the rain, not having everything that you need. So I think I'm good. I think I'm going to start. But this is a big deal. You can obviously tell the difference when I put that on. I certainly can. And then I've got this. I can wear on my head. So between the two of them, that's a big deal. It'll be enough for me to do a good job. Take that off. And I just tripped over the pretend gaff hook I'm going to make for helping me land the boat. I left my real one in Antioch. This is the gap I'm talking about. I know it's not that big, especially for double plywood meeting solid logs. In some spots it's barely even a 1/16 of an inch. In other spots it's up to 3/4. And towards the ends it butts up to the log, but then opens up a little bit. You can see the light coming through. I'm well aware of that and planned it. That was the drainage concept when I wasn't here and the roof wasn't on yet. So that's what I'm talking about when I say I'm going to put a thin board in there and on there, and then screw that down, then put great stuff in, and then shape it, and then the final thing is to make sure it's got that nice curve, and I cement it just like the corners where the logs meet each other and the windows. This is my replica of a 8-foot gaff hook. I left mine at home, I said. So I made this one just to get me back and forth for a couple of days. Hopefully it won't break. I hope that's enough light. Yesterday wound up being, like I told you, I thought that 5 hours of prep was enough. It wasn't because of the rain coming in. I had to get everything that would be in stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 of what I'm going to do. Keep in mind the logs are over 20 feet long, And one end is like that, but the other end is like that. That's the butts and tips method. Real logs, so that they're not, store-bought or ordered or sized logs. So just to put that bead of tape to keep it off the new clean floor, you don't just run a strip of tape down from one end to the other and mark it on both sides. It's got to be done in small pieces to follow the contour of the log. Otherwise it would look really fat on one end and really narrow on the other, and I wouldn't be able to deal with that. You forget what went into, like I've said before, this technique of curving, which maybe someone has done that in the past. I don't know who, if they have. If they have, my hat's off to you. My idea, like I've said before, was to not give the critters or rain or bugs or ants anywhere to hide that isn't easily detected, and clean up. Things run off. The corner, things get stuck. So I'm going to try it on that floor perimeter as well. Again, now I think I've got everything in the world that I'll need, and I'm going to hook up that tiny generator I brought. It will run one tool or one light, and I'm going to aim it right at this corner and move it as I go. Again, I beat the rain, so at least I'm in here. I might not have any heat to warm up, but I'll put another coat on, and everything will be dry. So really looking forward to it. Today, once I do that, then the first application of great stuff goes in. I'm taping first so I don't get any of that on the wood, because that would ruin the look of the floor as well. So I'm just trying to think of all the problems I had with all the other things. And it's been a year or so, COVID plus missing, because of cats are crap, another year not up to speed. So I think I'm back on board. I took all my medicine, and that's it. Looking forward to it. I've got the tiny generator going. I'm sure you can hear it in the background. I can carry it in one hand, that's how small it is, but it will run one tool or one light. And this particular one was given to me in Barber for some artwork, and then the man was nice enough to tell me he didn't need this portable generator. He got me an emergency, but I want it. Thanks again, John. Wish I would have had it in the beginning. I thought they were all big, big generators would not work in this location. It's up above the water line, 15 feet. I can't carry a regular jack generator around. This one, I can get it here, use it when I really need it, and this is it. So I've gone approximately, I'd say a ninth or a tenth of what I have to do. Cell phone's not working. I don't know what time it is. I'm guessing it's a couple hours since I last videoed, but it's gone down. That will expand, and then I will go in. With my, with my tool, like I say, I can make this any curve I want, and then work to get this look. That's what we're going for. We're a long way from there, but I think the theory is working. Now I just gotta make it. It's killing my legs. You can imagine anyone bending down and then trying to be precise in what you're doing. Bending down's hard enough. But 3 tapes in 3 different places, you gotta mark them so it doesn't look like that. And keep that stuff off of the new floor. The bottom tape, that's what's protecting that. Top tape's protecting the log. So when I strip those off, we should have a clean line, we hope. I'm happy to be standing up. I'm gonna have to take a break. It's been a couple hours. Just to get from here to there. I've got the whole west wall done now where it meets the floor. Happy about that. But again, it's killing me. No pun intended. I think this is going to work. It's going to be a little trickier to get that curve and then make this smoother than the other chinking. It's something, if anybody ever mimics this, make sure you sand it once and then go back again and then coat it with the material I'm coating this with so that that won't stick to dirt. It'll be easier to brush off. Again, another step, maybe it takes an hour or two, but in the long term, it might save you hundreds of hours over the course of the cabin. So, that's what I'm up to. I gotta eat something. Lunchtime was 3 hours ago. Then I'm gonna start on that back wall, which has a little larger gap. So I got some special material that'll handle up to a 3-inch gap. And something to remember for skeptics, great stuff is pretty good when it has no pressure from another side. I mean, it'll literally stay there until you physically hit it with something or a hammer or try to snap it off. But when you put it between two sandwiched objects that are immovable, it becomes incredibly strong. I know this because I did this job. I chinked everywhere you see cut out, and because the logs gave it resistance up and down, I literally needed, even after cutting it out, except for the bottom and the top, making the slices, I needed a 8-pound sledgehammer in some cases to break that tension, and then I could get it out. So it's strong. I still have the same test sample above my sink with 2 pieces of log when I was doing the test for this. Plus I tested it on my own building, not knowing I'd be using it. And those places I repaired are 35 years old plus. And they're coated on the outside. You gotta do that. So anyway, and I said earlier that my curve technique, I'm not saying that some guy somewhere at some time hasn't gone through the pains of doing that. I've just never seen it either in writing, in pictures, or in conversations over the last 2 decades. And again, great stuff. I believe the only reason it isn't used is because it is more expensive if you were actually doing 2,000 or 3,000 square foot buildings. If you're doing a 400 or 500 square foot building, well, maybe that price tag isn't quite as high mentally for you. And it's been brought up to me that they think that's why it hasn't been used as much for chicken. It's simply a cost factor. It's not that it won't work. So that's where I'm at. Taking a break, gassing up that little generator so it doesn't stop in the middle of my work. And that will wrap it up. I forgot about, there's always something you forget. Probably see this. Make sure you can see it. When we did the floor, when we did the floor, ceiling, I mean, we didn't want to have to move these inside and out. They're 14 inches across and honest 3.5 inches thick and 10 feet long. Or maybe 8 feet long, 8 by 14 by 3.5. They're heavy. I got those from Kevin, Dustin, and Jenny as a present. From a sawmill that's, I guess, way back in the woods somewhere. I don't even know where it's at. But as a result of that, there's a square where we had to put these on a piece of cardboard to get them out of the way. Now I've got to go, I saved the mixture I made to do this on the 2 colors. And now I'll have to blend that in, which I can do. It's just one more thing. You gotta watch it because you can't get near it for 2 days, et cetera, et cetera. I'm gonna go ahead and do the foam part and try and do that last. Like I said, there's always some, you think you're just about rounding the turn, and then there's another log in the road. But it's getting there, happy. A good find in the shed, an old hunting blind cushion seat, which acts as a really good thing to kneel on. Glad I found it when I did. At least I was only halfway done. I gotta go. It's getting dark. It's gonna rain. I don't want to be in the middle of the lake in a thunderstorm. So we got a little bit more than half done. That sounds good, but now I've got to remove all the stuff from this wall, put it somewhere else, do that patch that we couldn't stain before. So I am not going to be finishing today with this step 1. It's going to be a while before this is done. Before I forget, I'm wearing a Lion Kugel's hat. I don't know how many of you follow what I really do for a living, which is fine art. That allows me to do a study on the trail marker trees over the last 40 years. And about 6-7 years ago, one of the guys up there at Lion Kugel overheard me talking, and about 3 months later, Lion Kugel named one of their specialty beers for the summer. I believe it was the bent oak or stout oak, whatever, but they took an actual Wisconsin trail marker tree that I had documented up by Blue Mountain, or Black Earth, but it was up on the mountain, and put it on the beer label, which was pretty cool. Anyway, that's why I got the hat. So, I'm rounding the bend over there. That's the home stretch. And I got to do both sides of the doorway. I got everything fired up. Generator's been going on and off on its own. I don't know why. I just hope something isn't floating around there and stops the carburetor. So, I can get that done. I'm going to start putting back the shutters one at a time, so it's not as big a deal when I go to leave it a couple of days, because I'm using that light anyway. Slowly you gotta like subtract stuff from the site this time of year. You can never bring back everything you gotta protect. You can't even leave stains or anything like that. If they freeze, People will tell you you can use them, but the new safety paint is water-based. It's gonna freeze, it's never gonna work right, so it's not worth it. Things like that, certain tools, so little by little you subtract. Otherwise, it's an overwhelming nightmare at the end of the season. So, looking forward to getting that done while I've got energy from the medicine I took. That's it for now. Little by little, it's taking a lot longer than I thought to do just this step one. But no one said it'd be easy. I'm gonna try to explain this a little bit better, this whole curve idea. So now you're looking at the unfinished door, okay? But the foam has been in place. And on this side, I'll try to zoom it in. You can see what that will look like when it's finished. In other words, there's almost nowhere for a bug or water to stay when I'm done. There is no corner. It's a curve right up to the flat wood. It just takes, a little more effort, obviously. Maybe 10% more money, maybe even 15%. But on a little project, and again, this is an art project. This isn't for housing, so to speak. I just wanted to see what the results would be. And again, it's doing it on all of them. And on the top, that I gotta admit was difficult. And then even on the joints, by getting the great stuff into every nook and cranny, what winds up happening is you're eliminating things that could be problems later on. This is more of a close-up, and I think anybody could see that, the corners don't exist anymore. There's a good reason when you're done with a job this size to work on it, to save whatever, especially if you make something, save part of it. So now I'll be able to hopefully go back in and save the patch where these monsters had to sit while we did the floor. So we saved it, I stirred it, got a brush. So I'll do that because I won't be in here for the rest of today. So it's taken 4 days to get phase one done. I'm going to give it a day just because of the temperature. It hasn't been that warm. So I want to make sure this thing, the foam cured all the way through. I think it did. I think the humidity actually helped it. I had something happen, and it is good to have safety glasses on sometimes. I had a can of great stuff, literally kind of explode, not the can, the top, spin the nozzle off, send it across the floor. It caught me. And that was a lot of cleanup in aisle 6. Luckily, because the floor is sealed, I got to where it landed all over the floor and just dabbed it up. It came right up. So that was nice. And again, now I'm ready to let this sit. And it's all the way around, and then I even went and tried to seal up some checking, which people freak out about logs checking. But I've been to some of the nicest log homes in the States, I believe, visiting, and they check. So if you can, fill them with something more or less just to keep the bugs out. But anyway, I got to keep going. I'm going to try to trim part of the trail by where we park. My friend Henry, great guy. I think he's sick. We kind of share that responsibility. And I'm just going to go ahead and do it all before I find out he is sick, and then nobody does it. All right, that's it for today. Well, I've been real lucky as far as not getting caught in the rain in the boat. That luck ran out this morning. I got caught in a good one. But I'm starting now on the shaping of the foam, making those curves. And I'm hoping one of my handmade Gorilla Tape and bandsaw snip with long sections that I make. Again, figuring it out right at the end. You know, I wish I would have had these doing all the shaking on the, you know, literally a couple thousand feet of shaking. Would have made it a lot easier. But I got to figure out now which one of these is the newest and the sharpest. And if they're not sharp, I'm just going to make a new one, because I've got 80 feet to shape the next day or two. Then sand smooth, and then I'm going to seal them actually. And I'll make them smoother than this, because they're what will catch more dirt, you know, over the, you know, foot traffic. So the smoother I make that bottom one, the easier it will be to keep it clean. So that's where I'm at today. I'm almost dry. Having that little generator running this light makes me feel dry at least. So it's all good. I can't delay this anymore. Now I have to get back on my hands and knees for a couple of days. All right, that's the program. I got the foam shaped all the way around the floor. Just as I did it, I was thinking I should turn off the generator, check the oil. She's been running good, so treat her nice. And when I walked out, generator stopped running. I can't make it work again. I brought my buddy's backup. It's in the truck on the mainland. And that's thunder I'm hearing in the background. So, now to go down to the day. Was doing really well. Now I gotta get this generator back to the mainland, find out what's wrong with it. And hopefully the other one runs and I can keep going tomorrow. Other than that, it was, it's great. It's shaping up like I wanted. But this isn't the ending I wanted for today. So I'll wind up losing a couple hours. It's not good. Hours up here are real important. Good morning. Saturday, 26th. I got a problem with all the medicine I'm on of carrying things that are heavier now, like carrying even a small generator by yourself uphill. And then that God, it dawned on me when I started the project, I invested in another good extension cord, a heavy duty, heavy gauge cord that was 100 foot. And, you know, at the time it was, you know, that's overkill. And you might not need it, but sometimes you do, and you can run other things off of that without diminishing too much of your current, I believe. So anyway, I got the little generator out of the truck down to the pier, into the boat, and it really took a lot out of me. On the way over, I started thinking, is that 100-foot cord enough to get me up the hill? So I don't have to carry the generator up a 15-foot incline. And I'm going to find out soon. So that'd just be great. If I can aim it, tie it stationary in the boat, aim the exhaust out of the boat, and run that cord up to the cabin, I won't have to carry that generator back and forth and try to get it out of the boat and up that hill. So that's my goal this morning. One other thing, I did do well getting it prepped. I've still got a problem in that corner where I had to avoid the patch that we made to put those bad boys out of the way. Those things are huge. So now I can move them after I get rid of the foam and shape that. I'll have that to do. And then up on the top of the door jamb, I've still got to reach up there, shape that stuff, and make it look more like that so that I can go in, sand it, and it'll be ready if I'm lucky enough to try the door, to do the door. So looks like now at least I'll be able to get my first round of cement around the whole perimeter. And that's a big thing, but I miscalculated one day. So I've had to work harder and longer. So hopefully by the end of today, I'll have a nice line, a clean line on the inside of the floor, and I'll have the first coat of cement on that border. That'd be great. That leaves me 2 days to go around and hunt for defects, patch stuff in, seal some stuff, get ready for the winter, slowly start taking things back to the truck. Like I said, you just can't unload everything you've dragged out on the other trips. All right, that's it. I hope that turned back on. This morning was cold. It's only the end of August and it's in the 40s. That doesn't sound like a lot, but if it's 90 where you're leaving, it's a lot. So I had a problem with the generator. Of course, the last 2 days. Got it back on land, got it to work, but because of all this stuff I'm on for the chemo, it's just making me more tired. So it's harder for me to lift heavy things. Going down to bring the generator was okay. Climbing up, I'm really glad I had a good idea. I had a 100-foot construction cord, and I made it by 10 feet. So now I can aim the exhaust in a different direction, like I said earlier, fire up the generator in the boat, plug it in, run the cord up here, and turn my lights on so I can see what I'm doing better, do a better job. So, turned out to be a really good idea to invest in that 100-foot cord years back. I've used it a couple times. It's really saved me. So, back to work. I got the generator running. I think now you can get a better idea what I'm doing. In other words, this is the smooth foam area, but not cemented or taped. And then you're moving into that, where it's smooth further and cemented. And then the tape will be removed when it starts to set up just a little bit more. It's a timing thing. Too early, it'll run onto the floor and ruin what you're doing. Too late, and you won't be able to get it off. And then there's little obstructions like moving the monsters. I'm so tired of, I'm going to hopefully make steps out of that, just so you know why I'm trying to keep them dry and pristine. And again, I know the lighting's really bad, but so this gives you an idea of what I'm going through to get where I'm trying to get to. And it looks like it's working, so I'm real happy about that. Again, it'll not only seal the floor to the logs, but help with critters, spiders, ants, you name it, red squirrels, chipmunks. So it's all good. And it's by no means done, but it's really coming along. The cement is on everywhere. That is where the floor meets the walls. I'm gonna come back tomorrow. Before I take that tape off, I'm gonna give it one more coat. Smooth it out a little bit, especially this one in front. It's the only one I don't like, so I'll get that tomorrow. But it's all done all the way around. Just keep it a little airtight, critters out. All right, should make it home before dark. Woo, it's Sunday, 27th, something like that, August. And last night, it was literally like 42 or 43 degrees. Really cold in the middle of the night by 3 or 4 in the morning out there. Back at the place, there's no heat hooked up yet, not till, I don't think till moose season, the 15th of September. So, got the generator going again. That's one thing you gotta remember when you start relying, even if it's on a little one, for one tool, you get dependent on that tool. That's how come we have light. But what I'm gonna do next is remove the last of the foam around the door and on the top of the door jamb. All the places I put foam in where there was checking, more to get rid of bugs than for strength or anything. Just a cleaner look. And then start cleaning up, which will give my concrete more time to dry, because you have to have certain temperatures for cement to cure right. And I've been a little cold at night, so I'm gonna let the days warm it up a little. I'm gonna slide open the windows and hope it's warmer outside than inside today. And take it from there. If I can do that, and then get that cemented, maybe by then I can touch up anywhere on this first coating of cement. Get that'd be great. That'd give me 2 days to check on it, make sure it's okay, and button it up for 2023, unless I can talk Gail into coming up. She comes up once a year, but I'd like to get her to come up and see the place in the fall, because it's just incredibly beautiful. So that's one of my plans for when I get home, even if it's a short stay, just to see how nice it is. Woo! Well, it's obviously hours later. Sun has stayed out, excellent. Shaped the foam, sanded it, smoothed it, taped it all the way around. Doesn't look like a lot, but it's 16, 20 feet of taping, sanding, curving, shape, foaming. It's, and that's fast because I've been doing this for so long. I'm actually, like I say, you get better towards the end. But now I'll apply that cement, and then we'll have the basic coat of everything done once that I've come back to do. And then if I get it drying and it stays warmer, I can maybe go over it and hit the fine points and smooth it out even more. Boo. Know what that was? It's Tuesday or Monday the 26th. I got a big storm rolling in this afternoon. Luckily, I've been bringing stuff back every day from here that has to get off the island. I'm officially calling this the cement shirt now. It was already kind of wrecked, but now it's the official cement shirt. Not bad for doing the whole perimeter of the floor and the doorway. I'm going to redo the entranceway today. After looking at everything else I did, I couldn't deal with it. It's not that it has to be perfect, but the idea was not to have it catch stuff. And it's too rough, so I'm going to start with that this morning, and then move on to some other projects that'll help me button everything up. In a thunderstorm on slippery rocks and logs, you don't want to be buttoning up the cabin. So if I can get that stuff done, and I'm happy with what I've got done, again, hard to explain to someone else something they can't look up. So, all good. And then I'll rearrange this, get it ready for tomorrow, even if I have to come in rain gear. I can hopefully deal with that. Maybe I get my legs fixed and I'll feel more comfortable up here being alone. All right, that's my message for August 26th. This will be probably the last trip up this year. But again, I got done what I was hoping I could get, got 80% of it done, at least. So that's good. Maybe I'll go further. Find out later. This is what I'm gonna do over. You can probably see it's a little rougher on the top and it would catch stuff. So instead of, the bottom's real nice and smooth, matches the floor, but if I can go in, foam it again, it'll grab that rough concrete real nice. And then I can put another layer of foam on there and maybe shape it tomorrow, if not, right when I get back. So, and I'm gonna do the other side as well. Don't have to, but like I said, it's, it should be that smooth, not like that. Woo. You can see how smooth this comes to the floor. And now that's in that divot that was behind there. First time I did it, I wasn't as good at doing it. So there wasn't enough in there. Like I said, it's not applying it one time, it's applying it 3 times. Once in the middle, once on top, once in the bottom. But I had to learn that. So now, the next step, if I'm lucky, will be to shape that tomorrow real early and give it a coat of cement. That'd be great. That's my goal for tomorrow. But I mean, this isn't even cured yet. I think you get the idea. And then you coat it with cement on top of that. So, should be pretty good. It's not like you're in here, 365 days a year. You're just trying to keep the bugs and the squirrels and the spiders kind of at bay. Once in a while, set off a bug bomb, get rid of the bats, and everything else. Whew. I'm going to try and make a half door, Dutch door, I think they call them, not sure. This door is from late 1800s. It's got a really nice brass on it, door knocker, peephole, nice lock, it's all brass. But I've never hung a total doorway and a door, period. So now I gotta taper this down and, make them be able to cross and make them fit inside of here. So, I guess I only get one try. So, hopefully, I'll cut it right and get it snug enough. I made this deep so the door could sit back here and be a good 3 or 4 feet from the eave, so water doesn't, get on it all the time in the snow. So I hope that works. This is the hardware I was talking about. It's pretty cool. Nice door knocker. Peep sight above it. And this is the hardware for the door. Deadbolts. I even have the actual keys for it. So, it's pretty cool. Now I just have to cut it right. I think that's it for today. It's getting on 6. There's a storm coming in, and it's cold. It's in the high 40s. I don't want to get caught and get soaked. I'm going to get wet, but I don't want to get too wet. So I think that wraps it up for this trip. I got the doors cut to length. I got to get the width. And then tomorrow morning, if I get real lucky, I'm going to shape that bottom, and I've got the cement mixed already in a container, and I'll give it a coat, button it up, hopefully it'll seal up for the year. So that'll be great. Maybe I'll try to come out in September, I doubt it. I gotta get some medical some things fixed before I come back out alone. It's my last day, and it's pouring, and it's been pouring all night. It's in the 40s. It was horrible coming over. And it's gonna be a lot worse. They're calling for 45 mile an hour to 49 mile an hour, not kilometers, wind gusts, which means I came out on a tailwind, but to go back, I have to go into a headwind with a boat filled, not with everything. I've been slowly bringing things off the island. You always got to remember that. Take back stuff as you go towards the end of your trip, last couple days, so you're not overwhelmed or swamp the boat. Not looking forward to that ride home, and I've still got probably 6-7 hours to button up this front, then the floor will be done. Real happy. But in order to do the doors, I didn't realize I had to, I'm making Dutch doors, so when you cut open a door like that, even though it's super thick, solid, it's from the late 1800s, you open it up a little bit. I'm gonna drop Tri-Bond wood glue in those openings, set it down there with a little skinny strap, and then clamp it with these, so when I come back, those will really be bonded together. Moisture won't get in there over the winter. So that's my next step before I forget it and get mad later. Then I'll start on that, then I'll pack up and head home. Hopefully. There won't be any other problems. This will explain that a little better. It's not a big opening, but that part slid out, and you can see how thick the doors actually are and solid, which is nice. And again, the hardware is just really cool. Both on the knockers, the handles, you know, it's pretty neat, I think. And I love forest green. So there's the other side. So I'll get that sealed up, and that'll keep the door better for longer. This is what we're talking about for the last step. Again, I know the light isn't the best in here with my one light bulb, but that's not bad. All right, my battery's starting to go down. Thank God for this little Sony. So, again, this gives you an idea how smooth the first 7 or 8 inches were, but when it got back in that big gap, I just couldn't deal with it. So today, I'll curve that, shape it, sand it, cement it, and then the whole floor will be done. And I'll do the same thing on the other side, and that's it. Ooh. I think you can see the difference, even with that bad light. I'm really glad I took the time to redo that all. And the other side, this I did a little better. But now, like I say, that's going to be easier to clean. The last step will be to sand it a little smoother and put a coating of sealer on it, which will make it even less apt to hold dirt. So just something that'll long-term make it easier to keep the cabin clean and keep the little rodents, spiders, and critters and ants easier to track, to get rid of them, and less inclined for them to want to live here. So it's all good stuff. Plus it looks cooler. And let's face it, this is an art project. I know it's a cabin in the wilderness. Maybe it's a little too strong. Maybe it's, whatever you want, however you want to look at it. It's my biggest art project. And I'm not by any means completely done. I haven't even started the real art part of it. I just got the superstructure together and wanted that to be different as well. So I hope other people appreciate some of the effort, and I'll leave it at that. This is the end of 2023 for me, unless I could talk Gail into sneaking a trip up here, maybe do a little hiking. I'd like to get in some bow hunting for grouse, but don't know if I'll be able to pull that off with my legs. All right, take care. I think that made it a little easier to see how much smoother that became. And again, I'm excited I got the wood vices on the doors, sealing up those little seams that were starting to spread a little, but now that I've glued them and viced them, that should correct that. And that's Klaus's beaver board that he stretched beaver on. I guess it was 1981 is the date on that. So anyway, that's it. I got to get going. I got a storm moving in. It's not going to be fun crossing that lake with a boat full of material. Now I'm signing off. That's it. That's August, end of August 2023. I'm buttoned up, floor's done, pretty much so. Everything's looking good. I gotta get out of here before the next hit of rain comes. I still gotta pack everything and make it back to chemo by 8 o'clock 2 days from now. All right, that's it.